So what's the best advice that you can give to a student that's looking to start a business while at school?
Be prepared to fail is probably the best advice.
Do you believe you'd set up any more businesses potentially?
I think at the moment I wouldn't look at starting anything that's new.
And if you were a secondary school student again now, what type of business would you look to start and why?
If I was still me, I'd do the same thing. You know, I wouldn't change a thing.
What's your dream?
My dream would be there's both more hours in the day and more days in the week, so I could do far more and get rest at the same time.
Hello, welcome to another Kids Interview Entrepreneurs podcast. My name is Richard Layton, the Entrepreneur in Residence within the Brett Centre for Entrepreneurship that's part of the University of Liverpool Management School. We're here today in Wirral Grammar School for Boys with a National Careers Week special. We're here with our Year 9s and Year 10s. And they're on a Kids Interview Entrepreneurs podcasting day, learning how to podcast. Thanks to Mrs. Wilson, the Careers Manager, for helping to support us to run the activity today and support the Kids Interview Entrepreneurs podcast. Thanks, as always, as well to Jay, the Director and Producer of the podcast for us. Our entrepreneur today is Billy Hoy. He's the founder and musical director of Singing Merseyside. He's also a BBC radio presenter, and he's the High Sheriff of Merseyside as well, in addition to being an alumni of the Wirral Grammar School for Boys.
Yes.
Our two pupils today who are going to be interviewing our entrepreneur are Henry and Will, and I'll now hand it over to you to ask the questions.
What does Sing Me Merseyside do, and how long have you run the business?
So Singing Merseyside is a community choir. There's currently around about 300 members, and it's been running for 11 years now. So there's groups all over Merseyside and into Chester, and they're basically just singing sessions, and then connected to that, the performances that we deliver all over the area as well. And most of those performances are to raise money for local charities or for causes. So it can be anything from a local nursing home, a tiny little performance with a few people, up to a cathedral or a theatre where we've got like 100 performers on the stage at any one time. So it's in a nutshell, it's a choir, and we entertain people and raise money at the same time.
So why did you decide to start Sing Me Merseyside as opposed to running another type of business?
So I've always been in the creative industries when it comes to certainly radio, as you mentioned in the introduction, but also music as well from my school days, certainly back here in Wirral Grammar as well. So when I left school, I went straight into the music industry, and I was musical director for shows traveling around the country, and doing like your normal gigs in pubs and clubs and all of that sort of stuff when I was younger. And I was also traveling abroad a lot as well. So quite often I'd go onto the cruises and travel abroad. But as I got older, things were keeping me back here. So family, your friends. It was all right when I was young to travel around everywhere. So when I became a bit older, I thought I need to settle back somewhere, and I wanted to settle back here on Merseyside. And I thought, well, I need something to do. So I was doing various things. When it comes to entrepreneurism, I actually did some work with the Chamber of Commerce as well, helping creative people and young people and first-time businesses start up. So before Dragon's Den appeared, I was running a scheme called the New Entrepreneur Scheme, which was I trained the startup businesses up, business planning, all the advice I could give them, and then put them in front of a panel and let them a little bit of money to start up their businesses. But from my own point of view, I was practicing what I preached as well, and I thought, right, okay, I can do something else for myself, which keeps me grounded here. And choirs were quite popular with all the stuff that you saw on the television. I thought, yeah, this seems sort of like quite a good thing for people of a certain age, and people that had a little bit of time on their hands, and people who wanted to go out there and do something within community. So I thought, right, I'll set up a choir. But it wasn't originally the idea to do it as big as it has become now. It was literally, you know, a little group, let's do a bit of singing on a Thursday night. And then it wasn't long after that I started to get interest from other areas, geographic areas. So I latched onto them and just grew the service and grew the business, just slowly, one step at a time, until I've got now 7 groups around the area, and that's where it's come from.
Obviously, you attended here, we were grammar boys, but what were you like in secondary school, and were you entrepreneurial as a student?
I was naughty, I think. It was, I think nowadays you'd probably say he's got character. And so when it came to, I'm not just saying this, I absolutely loved my time at World Grammar Boys. It just gave me the room to be able to express myself through creativity. So I was in music society, drama society, and it just gave me that room to be able to do that, where even though it was still in a minority to be a creative or a musician, it gave me the room to do that. So as well as sort of like the practical knowledge through music lessons here, drama as well, and obviously doing things like English Lit, English, really helped me with my career as well. So was it entrepreneurial? Yes, I was. I'd say, look, I wouldn't, if you went back in time and asked me the same question when I was, say, your age, I'd probably say no, because the definition of entrepreneurism is quite wide, really, about being, it's not just about sort of making millions upon millions and millions of pounds. It's not just about that. It's not just about the money. It's about having an entrepreneurial spirit, something that's creative. And, you know, for me, I would say I was, because I was creative in the way that I wanted to, express myself, but also I was already out there doing things. So I'd say, oh, nobody else is doing this. I'm not going to wait for somebody to come along and do it. I'll do it myself. So I'd go out and well, for instance, I was doing hospital radio when I was 14. I was still in school here, so I was already presenting on radio when I was very, very young. That led me on to the career at the BBC. And then I was still out there trying to find things to do that I loved personally. So I was up on stage, out there doing productions. So it was things that interested me, and that was really the start of that. Learning and also discovering the fact that you actually can create your own path without having to rely almost on other people to create that for you. And then if other people want to come along for the ride, you can take them with you as well. And so I'd say yes is the short answer to your question.
Thank you very much.
I know you sort of answered this in your last response, but you know, what were your favourite subjects, and what did you like best about school?
What I liked best about school overall was the fact that it was just a great atmosphere in here. And I can still feel that. It's one of the first things I said when I stepped back into the school building. Still feels the same. Subject-wise, I enjoyed music. That's an obvious one. But it was funny, actually. I really enjoyed English as well, English Lit, and also English language as well. My English teacher, whether or not he said it on purpose, told me before it was my O-levels, it would be the equivalent to your GCSEs, is you're going to fail this. He told me this when I was like about 14, about 2 years ago. You're going to fail this. And I don't know whether he said that because he knew what my character was, because I'm a little bit, no, I'm not going to let anybody beat me. And they ended up getting an A in English Lang and English Lit as well. So I enjoyed English. I didn't enjoy the sports side of things, funnily enough, even though I was fairly good at it because I was in the rugby team. I was quite a fast sprinter as well. So that did sort of like push my buttons as well. But I was really into science. So all the sciences, so back then there wasn't a choice, wasn't just science, it was all separated out. So I really enjoyed physics and biology and chemistry, and I even went on to study those at A level as well. So I studied the sciences, so I really enjoyed those, alongside my creative subjects like music as well.
What could school have done to encourage or support you and others into entrepreneurship more? I'd
say there wasn't much more than the school could do, really, because of the whole ethos of being who you are and sort of trying to find your own path. That tended to encourage certainly people like me who had already got it within them to sort of like, to bring that entrepreneurism out, to say, yes, you can create, yes, you can. It wasn't ever, no, you can't do this, no, you can't do that, you need to go down this path. It was never about that, and I think Wirral Grammars retained that as well, about saying, well, you know, what are your strengths and where would you go? So I'd say that from my point of view, there wasn't anything that I'd even look back upon and go, actually, it would have been better if they could do this or do that. Maybe, if there was anything, I was to nitpick it, was to say maybe we would have had more opportunity to go outside of the school, to go and experience what it would be like to be you know, a musician or radio presenter, or to have a little bit more experience doing that, to have that choice to go out there rather than it be picked for you, because usually it'd be picked for you. Said, oh, we've got a trip to, you know, Vauxhall, we've got a trip to wherever, to the university or wherever it happens to be. I don't know if that's changed nowadays, but we didn't really have that choice.
So did you go to sixth form or university after studying your GCSEs? And how did that help you develop your entrepreneurial skills?
So right after GCSEs, well, it was O-levels. We were the last year of the O-levels, so before it changed to GCSEs, but it's the same sort of thing. So I stayed on, and stayed on for sixth form at Wirral Grammar, and I studied the sciences, so I did physics, chemistry, biology. And we had general studies back then as well, which is something you couldn't choose. I'm not too sure if that still exists or if it's in a different format now, but it was something you couldn't revise for. And quite ironically, that was the highest grade that I got, was for general studies, the one you couldn't revise for. Because for me, being an entrepreneur is a little bit of a double-edged sword. Because for me, I'm saying for other people, for me personally, it distracted me from my studies, because I was always thinking, what could I do, what can I do, or I was already doing things. So what it meant was that I didn't do as well as I should have done for my A-levels, because I was distracted. I don't mind saying that. And so I actually ended up resitting A-levels and doing a lot better second time round outside at what is now Wirral Met College. So it was, like I said, it was a bit of a double-edged sword for me, really. But what it taught me is that sort of like, okay, if you've failed or if you've done badly at something, doesn't mean you can't try again. So what it really did teach me, I'd say certainly from the A-level point of view, and certainly going through, and then after that as well, it's sort of like there's always, I've got this little motto that I've got in my head, it's like there's always a way out, there's always a way. And to be able to sort of like say, right, we've reached maybe near rock bottom, you just get yourself back up, dust yourself off and start again. And I think that is very much the sort of like you hear that with a lot of entrepreneurs, like friends of mine who are entrepreneurs as well, is that they'll go, okay, it's gone bad, this has gone really bad, but what can we do to get out, or what can we do to sort of build upon this? It's never about giving up.
So continuing on that,
Yes.
What did you do before starting Singing Merseyside? Did you work for anyone else or run any other businesses, and what did you learn?
So it's always been the thread, the main thing that's been running through the whole of my career is music and creativity. So I've always been a radio presenter. So like I said before, since I was 14, in a porter cabin it was at the Countess of Chester, where there was a hospital radio back then. So that's been the thread. But I've done various things as well. So I've done work with the Chamber of Commerce, Liverpool Chamber of Commerce. I've done work with a company called Reed in partnership as well, and that was helping people who have been long-term unemployed to get back into work, but through running their own businesses or to be sole traders. So it could be like a plumber or a photographer or somebody doing something for themselves. So that was great as well, to be able to help those people to on a career path. The reason why I went into that was people approached me and they said, okay, you've done this since you were 18, being out there. You know, the story came out, yeah, you failed a couple of times and you pick yourself back up. And they said, we need that sort of knowledge, experience, not even knowledge, it's experience, to be given to a set of people that are doing the same sort of thing. So I became quite a popular advisor in the sense of I'd already been there. There was nothing worse for a lot of people who were trying to start a business, let's just say, or to become an entrepreneur, to be almost lectured at by somebody who's never done it. There's nothing worse almost, is there? So, well, you've never done this, how would you know how this feels? But with me and the way that I worked with the people that I helped and supported, it was something that was nice for them. It was nice for me as well, because I could see, I can see the position they were in. and offer that sort of support. So I've done that as well on top of the music career, and which has been really, really quite nice. But it led me on to lots of different things. So, for instance, I was on the team for 2 years working as project manager on the team that brought across the Chinese ceremonial archway to Chinatown, so that big structure there. I was part of that team that brought that across, which then got me into involvement with local, the civic people locally, like the mayors and some of the councillors, which really, come to think of it now, has led me down the path to becoming, or blipped up on the radar to become High Sheriff, which is what I am nowadays.
So what's the best advice that you can give to a student that's looking to start a business while at school?
Be prepared to fail is probably the best advice. Always look for the pitfalls, because there always will be. It's and always do your research. There's nothing worse than assuming things. Oh, it'd be great this. You always hear it. It'd be great because nobody's doing this. So well, there may be a reason why nobody's doing it. Or you haven't looked at the pitfalls. So I'd say the main thing to remember of anything is just keep that word in your head about research. And I'm not just talking about standing there with a clipboard in the middle of a shopping centre doing that sort of, it's, you know, getting out there, digging into sort of like whatever field or subject you're going to go into. And just look into it, and certainly look into the negatives, the pitfalls. What are the potential things that could slow you down, stop you, change your path? Because then you can see that. It's like it's better seeing it before it happens than afterwards, isn't it? So to see that and go, actually, if that ever happens to me, I'm going to do this. So you've always got that plan B, or plan C, or plan D. Every now and then there'll be an unknown, but you have to be prepared for that. But do your research and get out there and find out as much as you possibly can before either making that first leap or certainly making a change within your career or a different direction with either a business or whatever it is that you decide to go into. And I think that is really important as an entrepreneur as well. Otherwise, saying that, there are still times where you do have to have leaps of faith. You think, right, I'm going to go for this. But like I said, you have to be prepared in those cases to fail. And then you still have to be able to pick yourself back up.
You've talked very thoroughly about how you set up the foundations for Singing Merseyside. But could you talk about some plans for the future? And do you believe you'd set up any more businesses potentially?
I think right now, I'm not too sure if I'd actually set up any more different businesses. What I'd look at is maybe looking at, because business has got to develop, every business has got to develop, it's got to move with the times. So I've got to think as well, from my point of view with the choir, is that people are at a certain age. So after a certain age, they're going to go, well, I'm too tired to come back out now. So I've got to look at, well, I need an injection of like younger people coming in, and how do I do that? So it may be little changes in sort of like, say, the types of songs that we do. It may be the types of charities that I support, the types of venues that I go into. So to differentiate, parts of the business to move with the times, basically. So I think at the moment, I wouldn't look at starting anything that's new. I wouldn't say I'm too old. I don't think you're ever too old, but I think it's, I'd concentrate on what I've already got. And a big lesson was learned during lockdown. So that was only, 5-6 years ago now, where a lot of businesses had to carry on, because if you stopped, you'd lose all. By the time we came out the other end, you'd have nothing left, so we had to do something. So a lot of businesses pivoted, so they just changed the way that they delivered the existing service and got the customers or the clients or whoever that was benefiting from the service or the product just to benefit from a different way. So a lot of people went on Zoom, or a lot of people went to try and deliver whatever they were doing, if it was possible to do that, or online selling, or whatever it happened to be. So that lesson about pivoting a business, and that happened literally, it was overnight. It was literally overnight. I had to make a decision like within 24 hours. And and that was one of the unknowns that I was speaking about. We never knew that was going to happen. I thought, I actually sat there and said, it's only going to be 2 weeks. And it was 2 years by the time we actually dug ourselves out of it. And even now, we're still feeling those ripples of what happened during lockdown. But it did teach us some very valuable lessons about business and about pivoting and about changing direction as well.
And if you were a secondary school student again now, What type of business would you look to start and why?
If I was still me, I'd do the same thing. You know, I wouldn't change a thing. I really wouldn't change a thing because I always think, oh, I could have done this, I could have done that, you could have, But I look back on it and yeah, okay, there were some tough times, but I don't think I'd change if I was to talk to my younger self. I'd say, yeah, there's some tough times ahead, but just keep on going. So I don't think I wouldn't be where I was now. And I love what I'm doing now because I'm, especially in the roles like the civic role now, where you're actually supporting like people out there and actually making a positive difference. And that's something that maybe if I was in a different career or a different job, I wouldn't be able to achieve. So I'm really happy about that and I wouldn't change a thing.
Awesome. Thanks ever so much to Henry and Will for asking Billy our questions, but I believe you've got some more questions you'd like to ask as well.
I've just got a few additional questions. Okay. So, being High Sheriff of Liverpool, what is the most surprising reaction or feedback that you've got from the people of Liverpool about what you're doing to improve?
Okay, so it's Merseyside as well.
Merseyside.
So it's it's all 5 boroughs across Merseyside. So we've met so many people. So I've got another 6-7 weeks now left of it's a year's voluntary role as High Sheriff, and then and we've met a lot of people over that time. What has not surprised me as such, but what has been a confirmation from what I've always thought about people across our area is that we like helping each other, and you don't see that. You think it's normal, but it's not normal. If you go to other cities, other areas around the country, you don't normally see that. So here, what I found, and it's been confirmed with the people that I've met, is that if somebody's in trouble, people step up. And they'll step up and they'll say, do you need some help? Can we help? Is there anything that I can do? And it tends to be the way. And I thought that was normal, but it's not. But it's been confirmed as I've gone round. There's been surprises in the sense of there's been a lot of places that I've been to that I've always thought when I've driven past, what's that building, what's in there? And then suddenly you get an invite and you go and you go, oh, it's this. This is what's going on in here. Didn't realise this was actually happening. Or these people existed, or this service existed, or these people were doing this. So that's been a real surprise. And also find out about historical facts about our area as well. That's been a real surprise for me as well.
So you feel that you're more connected to the local area then?
Absolutely more connected. I always thought, or I thought before my High Sheriff year, that I was already quite well connected with the network and the people that I knew and that I'd worked with, but it certainly opened up my eyes. As soon as I started within the first month, I thought, wow, this is great, meeting new people, making new connections.
So, yeah, that's great to hear. Do you think there's any final prospects that you are implementing or want to implement just before your term kind of runs out?
I'd say I'm still carrying on. We've achieved a lot. So in a year, we've done near 300 engagements. So there's a lot, and that there's meetings on top of that where you try to connect people as well. So I think there's always something. It's like with anything creative, there will be always something that you want to do, and there are plenty of things that I'd still like to do. I've actually said recently that 1 year is not long enough. You need 2 at least, but you don't get that. You get a year to do what you do. So I'd say for the remainder of the term now, it's things that I'd really like to do myself, sort of like riding a police car. I've already put out a fire with the fire service. We can do lots of different things that are connected, sort of like those blue light services. So I think it's sort of like personal things now, or things that are close to me that I can really, I want to go and do this or see those people or say thank you to those people. It's that more than anything else now.
And do you want to continue serving your role to what capacity you can after that, continuing to get more connected, continuing to help out where you can? Is that what you want to do?
Yeah, absolutely. You're always known as a former High Sheriff, so you'll still get those invites to those places that you visited. If you made a really nice connection with people, you can still carry that on. Doesn't mean you have to stop. As long as you don't step on the toes of the incoming, the new High Sheriff, or forthcoming High Sheriffs. As long as you don't step on their toes, you're absolutely fine to continue those relationships. So yes, but I'm also a Deputy Lieutenant for Merseyside. which means that there's the Lord Lieutenant and there's the High Sheriff, who are the two people who represent King Charles in the local area. So the High Sheriff's role is King Charles's representative for all matters of law and order. And then you've got the Lord Lieutenant, who is King Charles's representative. But I'm also a Deputy Lieutenant. I'm going to be that until I'm 75. So I can still be out there doing what I love doing and carry on meeting those people, still making a difference.
That's great to hear. That's all my questions, really.
Okay, thank you.
That's amazing. I definitely want to be able to ride a police horse. I think that would be fun.
A horse or in a car. We can always get you into the back of a police car. That's easy enough.
Yeah, I probably need to stay out of that, just like keep out of trouble. But I definitely, have a go on the back of a police horse. It looks like good fun.
Yeah.
So that's really amazing. Thanks again for your questions. We have a couple of closing traditions on the Kids Interview Entrepreneurs podcast. Our first one is to Simon Squibb you and ask you, what's your dream?
My dream would be there's both more hours in the day and more days in the week, so I could do far more and get rest at the same time. That's my dream.
It's an amazing dream. I think anyone who's creative or entrepreneurial would second that, because there is never enough time in the day for the way that our mind works and for spotting opportunities, whether they're commercial or more socially minded, like we are. So that's a fantastic dream, and I hope that comes true for us all.
We'll
I'm not
see.
sure it will, but you never know. You never can tell. Our second closing tradition on the Kids Interview Entrepreneurs podcast is to Stephen Bartlett you. We've got a pack of conversation cards. So if you want to open up the conversation cards and then pull out a couple of questions, and then you can ask one more question each.
There you go. Is it ever appropriate to hurt someone's feelings?
Right, that's a tricky question. Is it ever appropriate? Am I going to get myself into trouble if I... I don't think it is. You could say, my quick answer would be, yeah. If somebody's hurt you, hurt them back. That would be my quick answer, but in reality, I don't think that's true. I think there's, as I said before, if you've got an entrepreneurial spirit or a mind, there's always a way around. What I tend to feel, the only time that I'd be in that situation where I'd think or consider about hurting somebody's feelings if something's happened to me, if they've done something to me. But what I usually think is, if somebody's attacking you for some reason, they've said something horrible to you, there's normally a reason behind it. And to dig into that reason of sort of like, why is it? Why are you saying that to me? Why is it? There'll be something would have happened to them, is what my feelings would normally be. So me adding to that would not help anybody's situation. It'll just escalate it. So I'd say, no, I don't think it is appropriate, no.
This is a question by Jim Quick, which is actually very appropriate. What is the one belief or behaviour that has positively impacted your life in the past 12 months?
Well, past 12 months and also the rest of my life, you probably know what I'm going to say after hearing what I've just said, is that literally just treat people how you would like to be treated. And that's what I've always tried to do. And yeah, that's it, as simple as that. Just treat others like you'd like to be treated.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thanks again to Henry Will for asking Billy the questions. Really well done there. Thanks to Jay for producing and directing the podcast. Again, thanks to Mrs. Wilson for helping and supporting us today to run the Kids Interview Entrepreneurs Podcasting Day as part of the National Careers Week. Finally, thanks to Paul Brett for his support of the Brett Centre for Entrepreneurship, as well as to Sir Peter Rigby for his support of the Enterprise Education in Secondary Schools programme. And we look forward to seeing you in the future in another episode. Take care for now.